All right, y'all, let's get into it. It's units 30 and 29 homework help. I know I wrote them a little weird, but unit 30 is due first, so that's what I'm going to do first. So unit 30, page 305 to 306. I'm sorry, 301 to 302 and 305 to 306. I guess it would help if I have them in the right order, first of all. All right, so 301. So it says that they want us to look at triangles TUV and T prime, U prime, V prime. This is page 301. And you really only need 1 point from each. I'll take point T and you run -8 and you jump down -2. And then you look at T prime and you're at +8 and -2. So here you need to look at which one changed. You went from having a regular X to this being the opposite of X, and your Y did not change. So you need to find an appropriate answer that matches that. Looking at number 2, it says look at the transformation. Now all the letters are still upright, W, X, Y, and Z, W prime, X prime, Y prime, Z prime. It looks like they've shifted up that way. So you need to look at W, which is where you run 1, jump 1, and then W prime, add that little apostrophe, to where you run, what's that? -5, 6. You need to find the difference between 1 to -5 and 1 to 6. This is your X value, this is your Y value. What happens to get to -5? What happens to get to +6? Number 3, it says Tremont uses the rule XY transforms to opposite X and opposite Y, excuse me, to show a transformation of rectangle JKLM to form J prime, K prime, L prime, M prime. Which best shows this transformation? So here you need to look at your notes. This is a rotation. So you need to look at your rotation notes. And you also need to take one of those points. So let's say J, you run -6, you jump 7. Your J prime needs to be at the opposite of that 6. So the opposite of what's here and the opposite of that 7. I'm sorry, the opposite of this -6. So make sure you're following the rules accordingly. And make sure it's also plotted in that proper place down here. All right, number 1 on page 302. Look at the graph of triangle DEF. If Drew applies the transformation X -4 and Y +3, to triangle DEF, what is true about triangle D prime, E prime, F prime? So looking at the answers, it says it's a translation 4 units down and 3 units to the right. Well, remember your X goes left and right, and your Y goes up and down. It says it's dilated by a scale factor of -4/3. It's a translation of 4 units to the left and 3 units up. And it's a triangle D prime, E prime, F prime is dilated by a scale factor of 3/4. Now, these are just specific rules here that you should have written in your notes. Remember, for scale factor, it has to be a coefficient of X and Y. So if I'm changing scale factor, or by a scale factor, then my X, Y needs to look like AX, AY, meaning I'm multiplying there. So you just need to be looking at the addition and the subtraction What are you doing to your x and what are you doing to your y here? Number 2, which of the following would result in a rotation 360 degrees counterclockwise about the origin? Well, remember 360, if you start here and you go 360 degrees, where do you end up? Will there be a change or are you back where you started? Number 3, the graph shows the resulting figure after parallelogram ABCD is reflected across the y-axis. Hold on, let me zoom in and clear this up. Which best explains the transformation that occurred? It was reflected across the y-axis. Reflection or y-axis flip. That means my x becomes its opposite and my y stays the same. So I need to take one of these points. Let's take C prime and let's run 3, jump 3. And then my C would have the opposite of this x because I need to go backwards, and then my y would be the same. So which one shows, oh, I gave you the transformation right here. Which one shows the transformation? And it's going to be the opposite here, and the y stays the same. So that'll be run -3, jump up 1, 2, 3. That would be my new C. All right, look at the figure shown. This is the new, this is the original. Which transformation best describes the figures? So it looks like my figure was turned, and it's going that way, which is clockwise, or I'm sorry, counterclockwise. And then I need to determine by how many degrees. So it made an L, hint, hint. Then it says, using the rule what? So what or which rule would be applied here? Now we said it was counterclockwise, so that one should be ruled out completely. Okay? All right, let's go to 305. Ryan reflects triangle LMNO across the x-axis. So that means L is -9, 1. L prime is going to switch my y. So it's going to be -9, -1. So it's going to be -9, -1, and it's going to come down here. It's going to be kind of a weird flip to envision. So we need to talk about the rules for an x-axis flip. Okay? All right, number 2, because that's what you need for number 1. Number 2, it says, look at the graph. Which best describes or explains the transformation? You need to know where you start and where you end. B and B prime. B is run 5, jump 7. And B prime is run 1, jump down 2, or drop 2. So what is the difference between 5 and 1? How do I get from 5 to 1? And how do I get from 7 to -2? All right, number 3. Which graph shows the use of the rule yx to y opposite x to transform triangle VXW? So it looks like V starts at the same place, so let's plot V. And let's run and jump. You run 2 and you jump 7. And then V prime needs to be switched. X and Y need to switch. And then X becomes its opposite. So 7, -2. So you need to find an answer there that runs 7 and jumps down -2 for V prime. On the back, number 4, it says, look at the pentagons on the graph. Complete the rule for the transformation shown. Draw a line from the correct answer to each box, then write the correct answer in each box. Not all answers will be used. Okay, so I need to look at a point on each one. This is my new, this is my original. I probably should be writing in black, sorry y'all. My original point is where I run -5 and I jump 7. -5, 7. And then my new point is where I run +5 and I go down -2. So I need to know, how do I get from -5 to +5 and 7 to -2. Those rules will go here for X and for Y. Number 5. It says, look at the rectangle EFGH. We're using this picture for questions 5 and 6. Use the rule YX is transformed to opposite XY to transform EFG to create triangle ABCD. I need to look at my notes here. What rules are these for? I'm just changing my X and my Y. I'm sorry, just changing my X. It's going to be its opposite. Now, for rotations, the X and the Y switch places. So keep that in mind. This isn't necessarily a rotation because it's just the X being changed. And it's going to be changed about a certain axis. Okay? So once I change it, I am going to have the new points A, B, C, D. You are going to need to write the coordinates for A, B, C, and D, starting with E, F, G, and H. E is you run 0, you jump down -1. F is you run 8, -1. G is you run 8, -5. And H is you run 0 and you go down -5. So you need to take all of these points and keep your Y's, but make your X's opposite. Can you make an opposite of a 0? Rhetorical question. So these Y's are going to stay the same. -1, -1, -5, -5. And then you're going to put something in front of them and make a new shape. Use the rule X opposite Y to transform EFG. So again, you're going to have to take these and now you're going to take Y and make those the opposite. So this is for number 5. And then W, X, Y, and Z is going to be for question 6. You're going to do the same thing here that you just did up here. Good luck.